Hello, everybody. I'm Dr. Leonard Hoffman, Chief Editor of the Timeline New Testament. I read the other day in an article that there's 450 English versions of the Bible available today. Gateway itself has over 150 versions available for download. We've got study Bibles that highlight archaeology. We've got some that highlight history. We've got some that highlight culture. We've got some that highlight life application. There's just a numerous different directions that Bibles will go and highlight particular things. Each one of these is important to us and has a valuable place in our study and in our research. But with all of these versions available, there's a question that keeps coming up, and that's why another one? What is there about the Timeline New Testament that makes it unique from these others? And I think there's three basic areas that set us apart in some way or another from the others and make us unique. One is in the translation itself. The translation that we're using is actually the Williams New Testament. It was first published in 1937. It's a very accurate translation. It's respected across a broad spectrum of Christianity and just makes a wonderful foundation framework for us to work from. So we feel like we're really privileged to be able to work with this wonderful translation. So we're not a new translation. We are a new arrangement of that translation. Another thing that sets us apart from others is there are chronological Bibles out there today that have done really good work and some good organization as far as having scriptures lined up in their actual order of which came first and which came second. They do a good job of getting events lined up, that this event and then this one. So the stories are lined up in a good fashion in many of those. What we did with the Timeline New Testament was not only did we make it chronological, but we lined it up on a timeline. And by putting it on a timeline, that's not just one event running into the next one. It's not one letter just running into the next one, but you get a sense that there may have been many years between this letter and this one. There may have been many events that took place in history, changes that were taking place through persecution, through different things going on with the armies. And so we set those up on this timeline as accurately as possible to help give a greater sense of how this unfolded through the first century. So that sets us apart. So we're more than a chronological order. Another thing that sets us apart is study Bibles will highlight a particular thing. That's what they're designed for. An archaeology Bible will point out a place or some place where they've done a dig and they found pottery, or they found existence of a wall. They find evidence that the place was burned totally down, and they find those things, and so they put those into the Bible in a way, or notes around the Bible that validate the story that you've just read. And so they do a really good job of pointing out things, and it's exciting. A history Bible will work on making bringing out the history and explaining to us what was going on in the world, and this ruler and that ruler and this army, and why this army doesn't like this army, and all of these things that play into the whole picture, and that they'll present all of that out to us, and the center will be the focus on the history. The focus on an archaeology Bible is obviously, it's a focus on archaeology. A cultural Bible has a focus on the culture, and showing us how culture affects our understanding, and brings that in to help give light and understanding into the scripture. These are all wonderful tools. But what we did with the Timeline New Testament was we kept the scripture as the center. Our whole purpose is the scripture telling the story. We really felt like that what we wanted to do was to put it together in a way, and just historically and accurately, and just let it tell its story. So the central focus of the Timeline New Testament is the scripture. So now we've got the scripture lined out on this timeline, and what we did was we took and we wove in throughout this a fabric of history and culture that help connect the pieces in the story, and add to the story. But our real central focus is not the stuff around it. Our real central focus is what the story of the New Testament has. So I think it's those three areas that make us unique and make us stand out. Our desire is that the readers, as they read through this, it will come alive to them, and be just help it be a living story that draws them into a connection with the Creator, as He invites us into it, and He's revealing His nature through the Scriptures. And that's what we hope that the readers will gain out of it.